Do the Steelers really have to settle for Aaron Rodgers, or is there another way?
Out there, let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Hang on,
Live from the RamCave, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView, the March 21st, 2025 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident? Need help? Got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word. KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues? Get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. Well, here's the thing. I said, do the Steelers have to settle for Aaron Rodgers? Or is it possible there be a little competition for a certain quarterback that the Rams might be interested in, because now the buzz is picked up? Now, we're going to pat ourselves on the back a little bit. If you guys were with us in January, maybe early February, we said Jackson Dart was going to move up the boards. And now it's hard to find a mock draft that doesn't have him somewhere inside the top 32. And I've seen him as high as 9. And then the last couple ones I saw a USA Today draft today that said mock draft that had him going to the Steelers at 21. And Daniel Jeremiah a few days ago put out his mock draft and had Jackson Dart going to the Steelers at 21. Now, the Steelers reached for Kenny Pickett, right? Who's less talented and has smaller hands than Jackson Dart. But I also thought it was interesting that I've seen more and more buzz that, and I give credit to Mr. Burns here, one of our loyal followers, that if Jackson Dart is with the Rams, is there at the Rams spot at number 26, then there's a lot of projection. Other people are talking about the Rams could take Jackson Dart. I don't know. I feel a little vindicated, but I also feel kind of excited. And the other thing we're seeing in one of the mock drafts, I saw a 3-round mock draft today. One of the things we're seeing is Jalen Milroe has really taken a tumble. I saw him all the way back in the 3rd round, 70th or 71 overall. And it's just so interesting how these evaluations come and go. The thing about Jackson Dart is they say he doesn't handle pressure real well. They say he doesn't process real well. And we've heard stories about so many quarterbacks having so many different issues, but when they got to the NFL, it really wasn't. There was another thing or something else. It wasn't that issue or something. And so you never know until you're under fire in the NFL. But I just thought it was interesting that teams are projecting it's like, and I think for the Steelers, if Jackson Dart is there at 21, why am I farting around with Aaron Rodgers? What am I playing that game for? I think I would roll the dice on Jackson Dart. You rolled the dice on Kenny Pickett, you whiffed, you moved on. You roll the dice on Jackson Dart, find out, because I think he's a better option. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to get you over the top anymore. And but if you do make the move for Aaron Rodgers, I definitely could see the Steelers drafting somebody else and Jackson Dart falling to the Rams. And so that's the exciting thing. If you're a Ram fan, if Jackson Dart is there, do you really want him at 26? Albert Breer is talking about Jackson Dart. You know, it's like, welcome to the party, pal. Albert Breer on the NFL Network. It's like, hey, bro, dude, it's like, where have you been? You know, watch our show and we'll tell you who to watch. And sure enough, he's talking about Jackson Dart being a possibility for the Rams. We posted on Mid-Valley Sports. I'm contributing there. I'm not running things there or doing any of the leadership there, but I'm just contributing. But on Mid-Valley Sports, I put it in the comment box there. Right on the front page there is a poll asking you, what position do you think the Rams should draft first? So if you get a chance, open up another window and go there and vote, or wait till the show is over and then go there and vote and see what position the Rams should draft. I saw one vote because the thing just went up and it was for quarterback. And yeah, I think it would be pretty cool. I like Jackson Dart. I liked him when he was at USC. I think he's gotten better with Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. And Yeah, I like him. And here's the other one. The fall of Jalen Milroe has also elevated Tyler Shuck, the Louisville quarterback. I saw him as high as number 33, first pick in the second round. That one was really, really interesting. All right, we got some folks that rolled in. USA Expat. I'm not a fan of taking a quarterback with number 26. USA Expat, if they take a quarterback at 26, then the odds of a pick 90 being a potential starter is very low. Manny Vasquez, no on Dart. I think Stafford is still good for 2 years, so that means that Dart would have to sit for 2. Yeah, but my feeling on that is I don't care if he has to sit for 2. I want him to sit for 2, and then he can step in. He's not Tyler Shuck, who's 26 years old. He's not, Stetson Bennett, who turns 28 this fall. He's of normal age, I think Jackson Dart is. I think he's in that 22, 23-year-old age range. So he can sit for a couple of years. You don't have to pay him anything. And then you find out what you have. I don't know. Because let's just say Rams, everything wonderful happens and the Rams win a Super Bowl. Who are they going to get at 32 if you got an opportunity? And think about this. Most of the spots that we really need have been full. I'm thinking the more and more I think about it, if I don't think I'm going to take a quarterback at 26, and you know what? The Rams might not like Jackson Dart. They might be thinking that. But if they're not going to take a quarterback at 26, man, I want to see a trade back and pick up more picks, right? Or the other thing that's raising its head now is the whole idea of building picks into the 2026 draft, trading back and picking up second rounders or draft capital for the 2026 draft, which everyone says is going to be better. All right, let's see what we got. Next thing that came up here was I read it. I think it was on Ramblin' Fan. I don't know where it was. I was just looking around to see what other people are thinking. And they were talking about the nature of Coleman Shelton's contract, that he's going to make 4.5 rocks this year, that it's a total $10 million deal. But we know it's not worth 10 mil. It's like a 1-year deal again. But they're giving him money that you would give to a mid-level starter in the NFL. And I just have to say, and I saw their depth chart, and they project Coleman Shelton as the starting center. Wouldn't you be disappointed? I know I've talked about this, but I'm curious. Wouldn't you be disappointed if Coleman Shelton was the starting center over Bo Limmer? I would be. I'd be really disappointed. That would tell me that some of the centers the Rams have spoken to in the pre-draft visits are guys they could likely push the button on, and that maybe they don't have any faith in Bo Limmer. That's my thought. They did bring back Dylan McMahon, the Eagles practice squad guy that they signed last year, who started week 18. They did sign him back, so he's back too. So I'm wondering, is it to push Limmer? Great. But I think we've done the Coleman Shelton thing. I think we've been there, done that, right? And the Rams made a move. They made a move to go out and take Jonah Jackson last year, thinking they would have Steve Avila at center. It obviously didn't work out, but they moved off Coleman Shelton. He was the weak link in the offensive line. And I don't know. I think it would just be a regression. It would be like going from D2 to D3. That's what it would be to me. So anyway, let's get some thoughts in here. Let's see here. Wow, you guys rolled in here. Steve Ramirez just signed in to say hi. I'm working at my Knights of Columbus fish fry, so can't watch. Go Rams. Well, Steve, thanks for dropping in. Appreciate it. Bill, I think the Rams should take an edge rusher to complement our 2 starters. I got no problem with that. No problem at all. And that's the nice spot they're at. Let's see. Michael Negretti, Pastor Joe, Sports Culture came out with a 7-round today. Oh, let me know what they did. I'd love to see it. Manny Vasquez, sitting in for 2 years doesn't help the Rams right now, and they're in a win now mode. They could use that pick for someone who will help the team now. Not an argument. I get it. I'm just thinking if they like him, and there might be something about him they don't like, right? There just might be something about him they don't like. But if there's a guy, he's climbing the charts. It's not just me. It's smart people, right? Wouldn't that be awful to miss out on a guy that you could have taken that would have extended your Super Bowl run to 2030, 2031? That's just my thought. Just my thought there on that one. KJ Brazil, thanks. Good to see you, KJ. Haven't seen you for a while. No on Dart. Boy, I have not made anyone happy today. I think that would be a reach at 26, and we can go in a different direction. I like our chances with Jimmy G. Yeah, this year I do. I do like our chances with Jimmy G as the backup. Tim Burns. Jaden Barron, cornerback, is coming up a lot at number 26. I'd be happy with that. My preference is wide receiver at 26 before DB. All right. Michael Negretti, Pastor Joe, the Steelers can have Aaron Rodgers. He's too much of a circus. He's a clown. Okay. KJ Brazil, I would start looking next year for a quarterback. This draft class is not that strong. It's true. It's true. USA Expat. I got an agreement here. Yes on Bo. There we go. Gary Eccles. Nice to have you, Gary. I don't know if I've seen you here before, but thank you for clicking on. Be sure to hit subscribe. No on Dart. Need help for Super Bowl. Okay. All right. I'm not going to be anything negative towards that. I totally get it. We're in the window. You want to win now. You got a backup quarterback. So that's all good. We're good. But I reserve the right in 5 years to come back and say, I told you, if Jackson Dart turns into a star. That's just me. I'm bitter. I'm a spiteful person. There you go. All right. But Gary, thank you for clicking on. Good to see you. Good to see you, KJ. Good to have you back here again. All right. So speaking of where the Rams are at right now with their team, I feel like I'm in the movie Scrooge. I got noise going on outside. And I feel like when Frank Cross yells, can you please hold the doggone hammering? Right. Let's see here. I started comparing Rams positions to other positions in the NFC West, given that we talked about how some of the odds makers in Vegas were still projecting the 49ers ahead of the Rams. So you look at Stafford against the other quarterbacks in the NFC West: Brock Purdy, Kyler Murray, Sam Darnold. Okay, we will take Matthew Stafford, right? Brock Purdy's won some games. Kyler Murray hasn't. Sam Darnold hasn't. And Brock Purdy's been okay, but he's playing with a different team this year. He might be wearing Frisco gold and red, but he's not going to be playing with the same team. Offensive line. Compare the Rams' offensive line. 49ers' offensive line is in tatters. Cardinals' offensive line, they're working to make it better, but it's not that great. And the Seahawks can never seem to get it right? And then you got the Rams' offensive line. I think the Rams win that battle in the NFC West. Tight end, you got Trey McBride in Arizona, George Kittle in Frisco. I think we're going to give the tight end battle to our NFC opponents here, NFC West opponents. Wide receiver, we're running Nakua and Devontae Adams. Cardinals, Harrison Jr., Seahawks, Cooper Kupp. We know we're not going to slam Cooper Kupp, but it's Jackson Smith Njigba. 49ers, DeJuan Jennings, Demarcus Robinson, maybe Brandon Ayuk if they don't trade him. I think I'm going with the Rams wide receivers. At the cornerback spot, the Rams' room is sound, but the Seahawks have the advantage with Devon Witherspoon, and the 49ers with Diamondor Lenore. Those are superior corners. Safety, I go Budda Baker with the Cardinals, but I kind of like Quentin Lake better. I think the Rams have an edge there. On the edge, Cardinals, not really, no pass rush yet. Well, they did sign Josh Sweat, but that's no sweat. Nick Bosa, he's not healthy. He's getting old and costs too much money. And the Seahawks, who are still looking for that explosive guy. And then you've got the Rams tandem. You got the Rams pass rush. I think we're going to go with the Rams pass rush, right? Cardinals are a sieve against the run. Frisco has problems against the run. Seahawks are a little bit better. I like the Rams defensive line a little bit better. I'm not going to work on special teams and tackles and everything, especially punters and everything. But look at that Rams lineup there, and barring injuries, barring a 2022 version of the offensive line chainsaw massacre, the Rams are going to win this division. They're just going to. And again, that was my question on Wednesday. Does Vegas just do things to kind of get you to take a bet, right? So here we go. All right, let's see here. Gilbert Gonzalez, thanks for coming on, Gilbert. If Dart lasts to the third round, then take him. All right. Manny Vasquez. I would be disappointed if Limmer lost his job to Coleman. But if you believe the PFF grades, Coleman was a lot better. And there's the great question, Manuel. Over the last couple of years, do you believe the PFF grades? Do you believe them? Because I think they've been going downhill. I think we've been seeing things where it's like, you know what? That's not what my eyes are showing me. I've struggled a lot with the PFF grades. I'll start there, but the more you look at it, it's like, man, I don't know. I don't know. Tell me what you think. Do you trust the PFF grades? I mean, the PFF grades are the ones that had the Cooper Kupp in 2021 as the 15th best receiver at getting separation. So there we go. Let's see here. Manuel Correa, what's up? Okay, Gary Eccles just signed Conklin at tight end. Oh, is that news that broke? Let me know. Thank you, Gary. Josiah Stewart, Manny Correa, giving us names. Josiah Stewart, I really like the edge. Tim Burns, getting tickets to opening day for the Athletics. We are playing the Cubs. Can't wait. Oh, boy. KJ's is Brazil. Thanks, Pastor Joe. Good to be here with you. I like Trayvon Henderson, the running back from Ohio State. You know, I always gloss by him. I do, right? Omarion Hampton, the North Carolina guy, has really climbed up the board, and I'm consistently seeing him in the first round, 19, 20, 21, someplace in there. And I've overlooked Trayvon Henderson. I really have. If the Rams drafted him somewhere on the second day, I wouldn't be upset at all. Let's see. Tim Burns, PFF is playing favorites of late. Micah Gutierrez, Chargers signed Conklin. Oh, that's interesting there. That's pretty interesting. Okay. Tim Burns, I hear we are trading Brian Smith for a fan to be named later. I'm the GM on this board, Mr. Burns. I'm the GM. I make the deals here, right? You know what they say, if you listen to the fans, you're going to be sitting with them. So I got to make the deals here, Mr. Burns. All right, working our way through. Let's look to around the NFL and other places. Some news with former Rams. Brandon Cooks left the Cowboys. Going to this. Is there been a better receiver? Because Cooks has his limitations, but he's a really good receiver. Is there a better receiver than a guy like Brandon Cooks? Right? I think he started with the Saints. Right? Went to the Patriots, came to the Rams. Goes to the Texans, goes to the Cowboys, and now he's with the Saints again. And Brandon Cooks, man, he's a good receiver, but he just can't find a home, right? Cannot find a home permanently. Is he overvalued and paid too much, and then it's easier for teams to move off of him? I don't know. So he's with the Saints. And former Ram cornerback Robert Rochelle, drafted 4th round in 2021. Real interesting story with Robert Rochelle there is this guy was playing good ball in 2021, and then Darius Williams came back, and he almost kept Darius Williams' job, and then he got hurt. And then in 2022, he was all special teams, and at the end of summer in 2023, he was put in the street. He's bounced around. Seattle, the Panthers, and the Packers, and I think he was just signed. He was just signed by the Chiefs. So that was a corner the Rams drafted, and they moved off of him real quick. People having problems with Darian Kendrick. Rams didn't hesitate moving off Robert Rochelle. Same thing. Rams didn't hesitate to move off Trey Tomlinson. So, it gives you an idea what the Rams think. But Robert Rochelle still in the league, kind of long, kind of lanky. He's still in the league, and he is now with the Kansas City Chiefs. Lions signed former Eagles cornerback Avonte Maddox. He's not great, but you add him with DJ Reed. That's depth there that the Lions needed. That's a good move for them. And the Cowboys bring back Michael Gallup. And this is like my favorite thing to do because I'm so anti-Cowboy. These are the picks the Cowboys are excited about, the signings. Javonte Williams from Denver, who's not bad. Dante Fowler, ex-Ram. He'll always have a place in our hearts. Miles Sanders and Michael Gallup. Meanwhile, they moved off D-Law, Zach Martin retired, and Cooper Rush even left. It's just, wow. It's just shaping up to be a really bad year in Dallas, and I love it. I think it's great. Houston Texans gave a one-year extension, $35.6 million to edge rusher Danielle Hunter, the former Viking. and that makes him the second highest paid defensive player in the NFL, defensive end in the NFL, edge, I guess we call it nowadays. But that is that's pretty fascinating, right? He's 30 years old, and I don't know. I think the Texans have done a great job. Daniel Hunter's played well, but man, I just think they got so many other issues, and but they're keeping him happy, right? So they got him for at least 2 more years. Then you've got Aaron Rodgers visits the Steelers. That was my last note. I bumped that to the front because I just thought it was funny with all the Jackson Dart talk with the Steelers and everything there. But yeah, if I'm the Steelers, though, I would draft Jackson Dart. If I'm the Steelers, I'd make a move on somebody. I think I'd almost go back to Russell Wilson, or somebody suggested today trading with the Falcons and taking on Kirk Cousins for a year. Great receivers for him to throw to. Take him for a year. Build up your offensive line in the draft. Let Kirk Cousins deal and throw for you. Either way, the Steelers are in trouble. Steelers are in trouble. I think going into this season, they better get this thing worked out. Let's see here. Paul Richardson. I would take the best player on their draft chart, period. And that's Paul Richardson. Yeah, and that's kind of where the Rams are at, right? They've put themselves in this free agent period. They've put themselves in a position where, yeah, I think we feel good about anything they did in the draft, right? If they want to move back, take the best player available and go from there. But what if that best player is Jackson Dart? Anyway, I digress. But I agree with you, Paul. Let's see, Gary Eccles. No problem. My bad. Conklin to the Chargers. No problem there. Tim Burns. Bad year in Dallas. Niners rebuild. Vikings leaving a 15-game winner at quarterback on the curb. Looks good in the NFC. And the Eagles have lost quite a bit, right? I think Mekhi Becton's kind of a big deal. I do. Lane Johnson's a year older. I think it's kind of a big deal. The Eagles are vulnerable. The Eagles were vulnerable last year, 14 yards. And the Rams beat them in the snow in Philly. I almost said the vet. Let's see. Manuel Vasquez. I think Las Vegas sees that the 49ers have a cakewalk of a schedule. The Rams are the toughest team they will face all year. The Bucks are the only other playoff team they'll play. Oh, good call there, Manny. Good call. Bucks are going to be tough. I wouldn't sleep on the Bucks. I wouldn't sleep on them. I don't think they're going to win the conference, but I wouldn't sleep on them. KJ Brazil. Jerry Jones needs to step down in order for the Cowboys to move forward. I think his time has passed. It reminds me of Al Davis's tenure with the Raiders. Absolutely. It really does. It's exactly what it's looking like. It's getting worse, actually. And you know what? Somebody needs to step in. I mean, who gives that contract to Dak Prescott? Well, why would you give that contract to Dak Prescott? It doesn't make any sense at all. I did see a mock draft today. Shedeur Sanders falling all the way to number 12 to the Cowboys. You bet they would grab him in a heartbeat, I think. Let's see. Tim Burns, I heard the NFL Network say we were 13 yards away too. They're watching RamView. Awesome. Steeler fan Rob in Missouri. No quarterback in the first round for us. Derek Harmon watching Fox News. Got to go. Go Steelers. Oh, boy. There you go. You watched us long enough to hear that, Mr. Sorge there, Steeler fan Rob. Okay, I'm Joe Terozzi. I was a sports writer for 21 years, still am, posting and contributing to Mid-Valley Sports. You guys can see that link right here in the thread. Go vote in our Rams draft poll there and tell us what position you think the Rams should draft and check us out there. Also, I am here because of our sponsors, Mid-Valley, Kistler Law. They sponsor us and they make this possible. We want to say thank you to them, as well as Temple City Auto. Also, I write books. My books are on Amazon. You can check them out there. I've written 2 high school football novels. This one's about bullying. It's a novel, a little Twilight Zone finish there. And 2 high school football novels, 1 novel about the Rams, was published in September, and it's called Game Day in the RamCave, a fictional playoff game between the Rams and Packers and what friends go through to watch it. Check that out. Thank you for your support financially, because it really helps us. We do not have a Patreon account or a paywall that we hide behind, so we depend on all your support. All right, let's get moving here. I'm just looking at everything. Updated interview board here who the Rams have interviewed. That means who they've spoken to. Rams have spoken to quarterback Quinn Ewers and Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe. Rams have spoken to the following tight ends: Tyler Warren, Gunnar Helm, Colston Loveland, and LSU's Mason Taylor. Rams have spoken to cornerbacks Dorian Strong, Virginia Tech, and LSU cornerback Zy Alexander. They've also spoken to Virginia safety Jonas Sanker and Georgia safety Malachi Starks. Is that what it is? I think that's how it's pronounced. And Syracuse, the heavy safety. I know Manny loves those guys that are hybrid safety, inside linebacker types. They interviewed the Syracuse guy, Justin Barron. Barron goes 6'4", 225. Man, that's a big size there that you can move him around. That's a little big for a safety. He's got some tweener in there in him. That would be an interesting pickup for the Rams. The Rams have interviewed Oklahoma linebacker Danny Stutzman, Washington linebacker Carson Bruner. I heard that was an in-depth interview. Wide receivers Matthew Golden, Texas, Tez Johnson, Oregon, Trey Harris, Ole Miss, and Tony Horton, Colorado State. He seems like a dark horse. I've heard some buzz on Tony Horton. Running back Cam Skattebo. They've also interviewed Texas offensive tackle Kelvin Banks. If he was there at 26, I think you're forced to draft him. Georgia center Jared Wilson and Oregon center guard Torricelli Simpkins III. So those are the latest guys the Rams have interviewed. What I used to do, it's kind of broke a little bit, but what I used to do is say, who have they interviewed? Who played in the Senior Bowl? Rams still do a little bit. The guys in the Senior Bowl, the Rams seem to like those guys quite a bit. So, but that's one thing to keep an eye on if you want to match some of those names with the Senior Bowl. But that's who the Rams have interviewed. Maybe give us a little insight on who they might have their eyes on. I do remember in 2021, the Rams interviewed Dwayne Eskridge twice. And it really looked like he was someone the Rams were zeroing in on. I think they interviewed Atwell once. And then I think 2 picks before the Rams had at number 57, the Seahawks grabbed D. Eskridge, and the Rams drafted Tutu Atwell at 57. And Eskridge is already gone. The Seahawks moved off of him. I think he ended up somewhere in the South, in Atlanta or somewhere. And, of course, Tutu got 10 rocks this offseason. So that's an interesting thing at play there for the Rams. Let's see. Tim Burns, Steelers have Mason Rudolph. Oh, yeah. In fact, we kind of heard Steeler fan Rob the other day, right? Mr. Burns? We heard him kind of like propping up Mason Rudolph. I think we see less of Steeler fan Rob because he knows it's not shaping up too well. Brian Smith in the house, Manny Cree and Tim Burns and their ridiculous takes as always. Oh, boy. Gary Eccles, we are pretty good. Would take the second or third best rated at position in McSneed we trust. There you go. In McSneed we trust. KJ Brazil, we were the best team in the playoffs to only come up short and lose to Philly. I think our game with Philly in the divisional round should be considered the Super Bowl. Boy, the way it played out, man, right? The way it played out, because I think we would have beaten the Taxkins at home. And I think if the Chiefs had come to the Super Bowl with that weak stuff they brought against Philly in New Orleans, Rams would have smoked them. That was I worry about, Chiefs are interesting, right? Moving off Joe Thuney. Yeah, there's some interesting stuff there. They did bring back Nick Bolton. You just have this thing where, Brett Veach and Andy Reid, you trust them, but man, they need help on that offensive line. I just don't know how you move off Joe Thuney. I know he was expensive, but man, that one is brutal. Tim Burns, the Stetson Bennett of RamView came to practice. Hi, Brian. Oh, man. Hi, little Timmy. You guys. All right. Let's see. Manny Crea says, hi, amigo. Brian, your mom. Oh, man, I'm not reading that. Brian's, okay. There we go. Let's keep going. Mr. Burns and you guys going at it. Manny Vasquez, a couple of sites are still reporting Mosley to the Rams even after they signed Landman. That's interesting too. Yeah, that buzz has kind of died down a little bit on CJ Mosley. But I don't think the Rams are done. I think Landman's a nice signing. I think he's an upgrade from Christian Rozeboom. Had a really good year last year. I think he's a little more athletic than Rozeboom, and I think you'll get a few more clicks out of him. But if you're looking for that, Zach Bond type thing that the Eagles got last year, I don't think you're going to get that. So I do think another linebacker is in play. Maybe in the draft. We did take Ernest Jones, 103 overall, 104 overall. Maybe in the draft, the Rams are looking there. Maybe they bring in Mosley. Break the routine. It's almost like the guy has to be an undrafted free agent to play linebacker for the Rams these days. There you go. Let's see. You guys are going at it. Mr. Burns, Mr. Smith, cut me some slack here. Thank you, Manny, for that update on Landman. I think that was a good signing. I do like it. Let's see. Okay, so looking at these mock drafts, the USA Today mock had the Rams taking Dart at 26, Shedeur Sanders falling to the Cowboys at 12, Matthew Golden, who the Rams have interviewed, at 18, Kenneth Grant, the Michigan DT, going to the Steelers at 21. And almost, has anyone seen anything different for any Charger mock? Every Charger mock draft I see, Colston Loveland, number 22 overall, going to the Chargers. So Pro Football Network put out a 3-round mock draft, and this was the one that had Jackson Dart going to the Steelers at 21, along with Daniel Jeremiah. So at 26, it had the Rams staying put and taking Jihad Campbell, Alabama linebacker. We saw him in that CBS mock going to the Rams the other day on Wednesday. I have no problem if the Rams draft Jihad Campbell. It would be a real interesting thing to see the Rams after all these years taking a guy like that, a linebacker like that at number 26. But that's who the Pro Football Network projected. Then they projected at number 90, Xavier Restrepo, Miami. I haven't even seen him in Mr. Burns' breakdowns. I know who he is, but I haven't seen any breakdowns on him. That one kind of threw me off a little bit. And then at number 101, Gunnar Helm from Texas. This is a deep tight end draft. Somewhere along the way, Elijah Arroyo, Mason Taylor, somewhere along the way, the Rams are going to draft a tight end. I just don't see Tyler Warren or Colston Loveland being there when the Rams get up to 26, and especially if they trade back. So there we go. Let's see. KJ Brazil. I would like to see a new linebacker sign. So let's see where they go in the draft. If the cornerback from Texas is there, I say take him. Yeah, again, no problem with that. Again, the Rams have put themselves in this position to where they can discuss, they can look at all sorts of options. There's all these options are there because there's not that. We knew going into last year's draft, boy, you better get an edge guy, right? You better get another edge guy. Also, we knew somewhere along the way they better get a kicker. Actually, Mr. Burns was harping on Josh Carty all off season last year. So, all right, let's keep pushing. I don't know if I'm going to go 50 minutes tonight, guys. I don't know if we've got that in us, but let's take a look on this date in Rams history.
Stone groove, my man.
All right, this date in Rams history, March 21st. He was not a Ram, but on March 21st, 2012, New Orleans Saints defensive coordinator Greg Williams was suspended by the NFL for Bountygate. Now, here's the interesting thing: is technically, Greg Williams was with the Rams. They had signed him, and then he got suspended, and they brought him back, I think, in 2013 or 2014, and stuff. So yeah, he's the one that paid the price for Bountygate. And I don't know. He was just Greg Williams. I understand the tough football coach, but every time I saw All or Nothing or on Amazon or Hard Knocks, Greg Williams is like, he tried to be bad dude for the sake of being bad dude. It's like, you got to be bad dude when it's necessary. If you're bad dude all the time, then you're just grumpy, right? And dude was just too grumpy. Let's see. Also, born on this day, the Rams have 3 pretty significant players that were born on this day. Ashawn Robinson was born on this day in 1995. He turns 30. Sebastian Joseph Day was born on this day in 1995. He turns 30. And Akilla Witherspoon, back with the Rams, out of the University of Colorado, he turns 30 today. So all these guys are turning 30. One name to remember: when the Rams had the greatest show on turf, they had all that speed, right? And they had Isaac Bruce, they had Torrey Holt, you had Azazir Akeem, Mr. San Diego State. I think Tim Burns probably has a poster of Oz on the wall somewhere. Also, they had Ricky Proehl, the most prolific fourth receiver in NFL history. The fifth receiver was a guy named Tony Horn. Tony Horn didn't catch many passes, but he did return a kick or two for a touchdown or some deep runs. And Tony Horn was fast. I mean, to me, Tony Horn was a guy you didn't leave the room for. I know he wasn't, Devin Hester and all these other guys, Eric Metcalf and everything. But Tony Horn, I loved it when he was at the Rams. The Rams moved off him pretty quick after the Super Bowl seasons there. But Tony Horn was born on this day in 1976. So he is, 49 today? So happy birthday to Tony Horn. Let's see. Tomorrow, since we're not on the air, just want to make mention that we talk about signing free agents. And this was a Snead free agent signing. Rams signed former Dolphin tackle Jake Long to a 4-year deal. Rams got about 1 year out of him. His knee was so banged up, it didn't last very long, so it wasn't a very good signing. Speaking of Rams free agent deals that everyone's on McSnead about, on tomorrow, March 22nd, 2022, the Rams signed Allen Robinson II to a 3-year, $46.5 rock deal. And we know how it worked out for Allen Robinson. I remember I defended Allen Robinson a lot because if you remember going into 2022, remember Matthew Stafford the whole summer and through the spring was not throwing the ball because he had an elbow issue. And Robinson came in and he didn't have any of those reps. First year with the club, Stafford and Cooper Kupp had those reps together and they were instantly connected. And your thinking was you bring Robinson in the offseason, the same thing's going to happen. But Stafford wasn't throwing the ball. And then everything went wrong in 2022. And I always just kind of said, I wanted the Rams to keep him. I wanted the Rams to hold on to him because I thought, you know what, the next year it's going to be better. But they knew, and they moved off. They sent him to the Steelers for a 6th round pick or a 7th round pick, and they moved off of him real fast, and so did the Steelers. And the truth was, by the time he got to Los Angeles, he was washed, and he was washed in Chicago that last year. He was washed with us, and he was washed with the Steelers. And but guess what? It was 1 year. It was a 3-year contract, but we know how those things work. Based on the guaranteed money, it doesn't mean you're going to get stuck. And then you still got people right now saying the Davante Adams deal is a bad deal for the Rams. It's 2 years, 44, 46, 44, and I think only 26 is guaranteed. So it's a 2-year deal if you want to say for 13 guaranteed, 26 overall. Rams are out of this deal. If Davante Adams goes the Allen Robinson route, the Rams are out of that deal right away. It's Stan's problem. It's not our problem, right? And we move on. But I was wrong on Allen Robinson. I thought he still had something left. Steeler fan Rob also thought, oh, man, we're going to get Allen Robinson. We're going to get something out of him. It's like, yeah, no, not really. And then on Sunday, March 23rd, since we're not on the air, was kind of like a day in 2001. Rams relieved free safety Keith Lyle. If you look at the team in the 90s and during the Super Bowl seasons there, he wore number 35. He was a 3rd-round pick, 71st overall out of Virginia in 94. He was a ball hawk. Picked off 28 passes with the Rams, 31 in his career, 89 starts, 105 games, 6'2", 210. His dad was Gary Lyle. I had his football card when I was a kid. He spent 7 seasons with the Rams, finished with Washington and the Chargers. Actually, he was with the Rams in 99. He was not with them in 2001. But I always liked Keith Lyle. Him and Toby Wright were kind of like the few saving graces there on some of those teams, those early St. Louis teams. And Wright missed the 99 season. That was a bummer. When he was there. March 23rd, 2022, Rams traded Robert Woods to the Titans for a 6th-round pick that turned into Ochaun Mathis. So no one won there. Robert Woods is now in Houston, and Ochaun Mathis is bouncing around the league. Born on March 23rd, 1941, was Bucky Pope out of the Catawba Claw. You guys know the story on him. I'll break it down some other time. And then passing away March 23rd in 1997, we just talked about him, former Rams head coach George Stidahar. He was the coach of the 51 team. And then in 2018, former Ram defensive tackle Alvin Wright. Remember Alvin Wright in the 80s and early 90s? He passed away in 2018 at the age of 57, heart attack. He was an undrafted free agent out of Jacksonville. Came to the Rams in 86, started for about 4 seasons, kind of rotated in and out, and and the Rams released him at the beginning of the 92 seasons. Played a few games for the Browns and his career was over, but Rams got a lot of clicks out of that guy. And again, an undrafted free agent where you get clicks. That's a big deal. That's a big deal when you get clicks out of those guys. That's why you always look at them. And that's why day 3 of the draft plus the hours afterwards are the hugest days, because who are the Rams going to get in those undrafted free agents like Omar Speights, like Jalen McCullough? Who are they gonna score? Even Josh Wallace. Who are they gonna score in the undrafted free agent chase that comes when the draft ends? So stuff to think about there. Let's see here. Boom, 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 boom. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, guys. There you go. Trying to get past the Burns Smith battle here. KJ Brazil, I would like to see a linebacker signed. We talked about that one. The corner. Gary Eccles, appreciate your show. Thank you. Been a Ram fan since '69. Willie Ellison was one of my favorites. Oh, wow, Gary Eccles. Thank you so much. Willie Ellison, I picked up the Rams in '72, and his time with the Rams was just about up then. There was a lot of injuries that year. That was the last Pro Throw year. They were 6-7-1. Jim Bertelsen was coming to his own. They had drafted McCutcheon, so they were ready to move on. But Klosterman made a heck of a deal in that move to get rid of to trade Willie Ellison, and they ended up getting a 2nd-round pick and a 4th-round pick for him, and backup linebacker Bob Stein from the Chiefs. But they used that 2nd-round pick for Jim Youngblood out of, I think it was Tennessee Tech or Tennessee State, and then they drafted Eddie McMillan, cornerback. I think he was one of the Colorados. He was a 3-year starter for the Rams before going in the expansion draft. And that was a great deal that they got for Willie Ellison, was pretty much washed. I always heard stories of Willie Ellison. I've seen highlights of Willie Ellison. I know about the 247-yard game. But yeah, well, thank you, though. Thank you for your kind words, Mr. Eccles, there. Michael DeGretti, Pastor Joe, have you seen Draft Tech mock drafts? They do a 7-round for all teams. Check it out. I'll look it up. Draft Tech mock drafts. I will. Brian Smith, wow, was that 2012? I guess it was. Yeah, I guess it was. Tim Burns, it's okay, bro. Oh, man, you guys are going at it again. Take it easy. Manny Correa loves Justin Barron. There we go. All right. I got one for you there, huh, Manny? All right. KJ Brazil, they always say take edge rusher, offensive tackle, wide receiver, or cornerback to build a strong roster. Yeah, I've always been offensive line no matter what. It's like Vontae Mack, no matter what, offensive line no matter what, because you're always going to be relevant if you got an offensive line. Rams are in a good place. They do need to take a tackle in this draft, because we don't know how long Rob Havenstein's going to be. Oh, by the way, speaking of Rob Havenstein, on Facebook, I answered somebody that said, hey, read the deal with Devontae Adams. If the guaranteed money makes it more of a 1-year deal. I got a like from Rob Havenstein. And then I became friends with him on Facebook. So Havenstein and I are tight, right? If it is Rob Havenstein, I feel like I'm tight with Rob Havenstein now. There we go. Tim Burns, Horn was a returner that won us some games in our Super Bowl year. He was quick. He was lightning, man. He was lightning. Manu Korea, check out Pittsburgh wide receiver Kanata Mumfield. All right. Burns, get on that one. KJ Brazil, Tony Horn was electric for the Rams. I think he went to the Chiefs and did well with them as well. Yeah, he would have, the Vermeil thing, right? The Vermeil connection. Manuel Correa, did they speak with Bassa? You know what? I thought they had. I confused it with Bruner, the Washington guy. I don't have an interview with Bassa, at least that I've seen. Let's see. Brian Smith, Horn didn't last long with KC, got popped for PEDs, if memory serves me right. Oh, wow. Did not know. Yes, he had potential, though. He wasn't going to get a shot to play receiver with the Rams. That was a deep roster there at receiver. That was a deep receiver room. Manny Vasquez, greatest show on turf, was unbelievable, and I enjoyed every minute. But people always forget that the defense that year was one of the best they've had in years. What's interesting about that is, who's kind of forgotten in history is Kevin Carter. Carter had 17 sacks that year. Now, that was the apex of his career. He played in 2000 with the Rams, and then he was gone by 2001. But yeah, Kevin Carter was a big deal in those days. Kevin Carter, Grant Wistrom. Remember, Grant Wistrom was the Jack Youngblood hope of that generation. He played well. He wasn't super great, but he played well. And then that everything should stop because I'm a London Fletcher guy. I think London Fletcher should be in the Hall. I think when you see London Fletcher leave the Rams, I think you could start ticking off the decline of the team. I love London Fletcher. London Fletcher was great. Todd Light had a great 1999. The defense was good. And then you're running Keith Lyle out there at safety. Was it Devin Bush? Was it Tim Herron? I'm trying to remember who the other safety was. But yeah, that was a pretty good team. Dre Bly. Yeah, that was a good defense. Good call there. Good call there on that one. Manny. Let's see. KJ Brazil. Wow. Alvin Wright. Blast from the past. There you go. Brian Smith. I like Justin Barron too. He's a good hockey player. Do you see him play hockey? I imagine he could. I wouldn't want to get hit by him. Tim Burns. Oh man, come on, man. Give me a break, Mr. Burns. KJ Brazil. I think Nick Wright paired up with Doug Reed, Doug Reed and Leslie O'Neal. I think Leslie O'Neal came on later. Leslie O'Neal was after St. Louis. Alvin Wright didn't make it to St. Louis, but he was there with Doug Reed and that roster there. Who was that? Sean Miller, Greg Meisner, that roster. Gary Jeter was in there at the end and stuff. But yeah, I don't think he played with Leslie O'Neal. That's another guy that's forgotten. Rams got 2 pretty good years out of Leslie O'Neal. 2 years, 31 sacks, I think it was. Something like that. I got to look that up again. But Leslie O'Neal had 2 good years for the Rams when they were really lousy and stuff. Let's see. Brian Smith. Horn signed with KC in 2001 as a free agent. He hurt his knee in preseason, which ended his career per wiki. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, it makes sense, though. Vermeil, after he realized he gave the Lombardi trophy, put the Lombardi trophy in the hands of the devil herself, he resigned, 7 days later from the Rams, set out 2000, and then went to KC. But yeah, he got Trent Green in over there, Tony Horn. He brought in some of the guys that he knew, and so he had a nice run there at KC, but they just couldn't get over the top. All right, I think we're cool. Let's see. I got 3 minutes left. 3 minutes.
It was a stone groove, my man.
3 minutes. What do you guys want to talk about? Make sure you go to Mid-Valley Sports and vote in the poll because I put it up there. One of the guys says, no, we should put up a March Madness poll. And I said, no, we just got this poll thing reactivated. Let's do the Rams draft. So I got the Rams draft poll up there until Sunday night. If nobody votes, I'm going to look really bad to the Mid-Valley Sports guys. So if you guys go to Mid-Valley Sports, click on over there, and then just vote in the poll. Mr. Burns has a good breakdown of some Rams note stuff there. It'll be pretty cool. All right, let's see. We got some stuff here. Tim Burns, explain the Mart's lack of success. I think Mart's just needed a governor. I think he needed Dick Vermeil, right? And he got Kurt Warner and Mark Bulger killed, right? He got him killed. And then he just made a couple of calls. That playoff game against the Panthers, we're driving at the end, and he settles for the tie instead of going in for the win. And there was plenty of time on the clock. And of course, they beat us real quick in overtime. He wasn't great. He should have won that Super Bowl in 2001. That one still irks me. So there we go. KJ Brazil, Mike Wilcher, Carl Eckert. Yep, that was all part of that defense, right? Tim Burns. Okay, let's see. Willie Bowen. LA Rams did good in the free agency. Yes, they did. They did. Brian, Willie, football fullbacks don't exist. Okay, there's a good sports conversation there. Let's talk about how football fullbacks don't exist. Oh, man. Gosh. Fullbacks are like extinct like dinosaurs. Although the 49ers have one, Kyle Juszczyk. Let's see, Manny Vasquez. I'm not over the 2001 Super Bowl. That one was brutal, because they came back, and I don't know, was that Lovie Smith's year as the DC? I hate watching it. There's some games you just hate, even though it's available, you can watch it anywhere on YouTube these days. I hate watching it because, I'm thinking about that. And I'm thinking, because you've come a little harder. right? And Brady's dumping off passes to J.R. Redmond, I think it was, and it's like this guy's not even in the league for another season, I think, and they're just moving downfield. And there was just all those little things there. Yeah, that one. If you want to say rigged, in 2001, when everything was all patriotic, it was almost like the country needed the Patriots to win. Sorry. There we go. Willie Bowen, Xander Horvath is a fullback. All right. KJ Brazil, Fred Strickland, Vince Newsom, and of course, Kevin Green. The defense was awesome with D coordinator Fritz Schirmer. It was good. It just wasn't, what they really needed. Remember, they got a lot of clicks out of Gary Jeter and those teams in the 80s. What they needed was another pass rusher, right? All they really had was Kevin Green. And I remember them making all kinds of different moves, trying to alleviate that, and it just didn't work out. And they needed another pass rusher. They needed something else. They were a good, sound defense, but they were good. They were built to win like the Chargers, with Zampese, and then you had Greg Bell rushing for 1,000 yards, Everett throwing for 3,000 yards, Flipper and Henry Ellard grabbing passes for over 3,000 yards. And then you had Damone Johnson blocking, but then you had Pete Holohan, a great offensive line. It's just, those are some lost opportunities there. Some real lost opportunities for Ram fans. Let's see. Brian Smith, there might be 3 fullbacks in the NFL, less than 10%. The fullbacks do exist. Man, everyone's going at it about fullbacks today. All right. Hey, we got to the 50-minute mark. Guys, thanks for hanging with me. I know we kind of got a little thin there on content at the end there, but just trying to look at some of these things and what's happening. I do find some of the mock drafts and everything, I find it a little redundant and everything, but that's why I want yours. My email is right here. I'll put it in the box again. If you have a mock draft that you want to send me, please do. And I will have a great conversation with that, and we'll go from there. The Doug Blank defense, the Doug Plank defense, the 46. There you go. So, all right. Thank you for that, KJ. All right. So yeah, send me an email if you got a mock draft you want to show. I'd rather hear yours than some of the so-called experts. We'll go from there. Brian McVay did use a fullback. His name was Ben Skoranek, right? Not a fullback in the true sense, but there you go. All right. I think we got it all. Guys, thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for joining. Please check us out on Spotify from the RamCave. We just need to do some business over there. We're not doing any business on Spotify. Check us out from the RamCave. Read us at Mid Valley Sports. Thanks for your support. Thanks for your encouragement. Go buy a book. Go buy a book. All right, guys. God bless. Take care.